So we may get a couple of people joining us and just a little disturbance as they come and settle in. So I'm sure we can put up with that. Is my voice loud enough? Can everybody hear me okay? You have, do you? Yeah. Yeah, do you want to move a bit closer? Yeah. Because normally I've got quite a good voice projection. I try not to shout. Sure, but it's a largish room, isn't it? So if anything's not quite right, do always tell me. I don't think the temperature's quite right. It's not freezing. We may just need to keep our tops on. I'll get that sorted as soon as the lady appears. But everything else should be okay. Everybody doing okay since last week? Any questions or issues or anything to bring up? No?
When I did the breathing practice, I couldn't feel my belly going in and out. I could when I was lying down.
Yeah.
When I couldn't.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's quite common because when we're sitting up, we require muscular effort and there's tension going on that isn't there when we're lying down. So if you're noticing that you're better when you're lying down, why not do it lying down to begin with? Because slowly your body will get the hang of it then. And then every now and then try it sitting up. Yeah.
I have trouble breathing out of my nose sometimes.
Right.
When I don't particularly when you're talking, so you're trying to do a count of 4.
Yeah.
But because you're talking, you're holding it
Mm.
and holding your breath, and then
Yeah.
I found I was sort of breathing out of my mouth there, sort of gasping.
Yeah.
Rather than just breathing slowly.
Yeah. The most important thing is to kind of listen to your own internal rhythm and just your own count. And just do a count that's good for you. And if as long as you're not waiting for me or anybody else, you're just working with your own breath and you're just counting your own rhythm of 3 or 4 or whatever it is.
It's like with riding a bike. Once you can do it, you're okay, can't you?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
The feeling's different.
Yes.
Trying to do things all at once.
That's right. Yeah. And you'll be noticing a little bit of this, those of you who've not done any yoga before, that there is a little bit of what we call conscious incompetence going on. Like when we first learn to ride a bike or drive a car, when we've got to think about everything and we're doing it all separately and we're having to think about everything, eventually it will become a lot more unconscious competence. So we kind of do it almost without thinking about it. Yeah, so it's good to recognise that. With the breathing, the most important thing is that it's a rhythm that doesn't leave you gasping for air. So if you're going, oh, this is a bit long, this is a bit long, that's too long. So reduce the count.
Yeah,
Or reduce the breath.
When I was listening to you give
Yeah.
instruction,
Okay.
you were talking, you've done the breath, but you're talking still.
Yes.
So you're holding the breath rather than letting it out gently.
Okay,
But
okay.
in the end, I started to
Just start,
go ahead
yeah,
over your
yes,
breath.
that's it. Don't wait for me, go ahead. Yeah, okay. So a few people recognising that as well, yeah. So go with your own breath, don't wait for me. And eventually you get the hang of this and the confidence to do it. Yeah. Okay, thanks for bringing that up. So there was a little bit of home practice, which it seems most of you have been doing anyway. And as I said, this is a lifetime practice. You know, certainly throughout this course, the main benefit that you're going to get is if you commit to doing the home practice yourselves at home. Is going to give you, twice as much benefit as just attending the weekly class. But beyond that, it's something that you're going to need for the rest of your life. All of us need something. All of us need something to bring us back to ourselves, to centre us, to ground us, to bring us back when the world pops us out, when the world and life pushes our buttons and pops us out of ourselves into anxiety, into depression, into stress. We need a practice, a daily practice, or at least several times a week practice to bring us back into alignment with ourselves. Because the world, especially these days, is designed to do that, isn't it? From TV and media and soaps to just life in general. So we need something. And that's ultimately what yoga is about bringing us back to home to ourselves, about realigning us, reconnecting us with something that is immutable, still, calm, peaceful, eternal within, that we lose sense of, that we lose contact with. So a lot of these symptoms of anxiety and depression, which we talked about last week, didn't we? The three areas of the symptoms, how it affects our thinking, our emotional state and our behaviours. A lot of these symptoms are a sign that we've lost connection with something within, with ourselves. And we've lost it, we've got thrown out by the world. So yoga means union. Yoga means reconnection of mind and body. You know, anxiety, we live up here. We live in a very disconnected way in our heads. And all sorts of symptoms going on our bodies too. So yoga is about reconnecting mind and body, reconnecting us to a self within that is still and powerful and centered and grounded.
Is yoga similar to Pilates?
Pilates is much newer. Yoga's some 2,500, 3,000 years old. Pilates is it's taken a bit of yoga and just focuses on one tiny aspect of it, the physical. So Pilates is different to yoga. It's not as big a system. It doesn't work with the breath. It doesn't work with meditation. It just focuses on strength and physical, which, you know, if that's what people want, that's fine. But yoga's much bigger. But Pilates is kind of copied stuff from yoga. But it's only one tiny aspect. And unfortunately, that's what most people associate yoga just with weird physical movement, you know, tying yourself in knots, pushing your body into things that it's not supposed to do, or whatever people think of yoga. It's not that at all. Yoga is a much bigger system than that. The West is again, it's all about ego and the amount of people that kind of push their bodies into postures that they're not ready for and stretch themselves too much. This is about ego and about how we want to be better than somebody else, or how we want to be stronger and fitter, and how we must do this posture. That's not yoga. Yoga is about doing postures, doing breathing, doing meditation in a way that we are totally present and aware and mindful. And the postures, the asanas, are just an eighth of what yoga is. Yeah, so it's a huge misconception that the world has about what yoga is. Ultimately, yoga is the best psychotherapy anybody can ever have, because ultimately, its ultimate aim is to work on this and to release all tension from this so that we live a life that's very clear, light, free, that isn't disturbed in any way. But it's a lifetime practice. I've been doing yoga for 13, 14 years. You know, I mean, one of the strong postures is a headstand. It took me 12 years to do headstand. I'm only just doing headstand confidently, regularly now. You know, but it's easy to kind of look in the yoga books and see all these lovely postures and try and force ourselves into it. It's a tenth of what yoga is, that is. And the simple postures are often, in my experience, the most powerful to change us. They're simple, and that's what we do in this class. So I wanted to talk about the two minds and about reconnection. Because when we think about when we're doing something that we're really passionate about and that we really love doing, it might be reading, it might be gardening, it might be playing with the grandchildren, it might be cycling, it might be writing or sewing. We've all got something that we absolutely love doing. And when we're doing that, if you can kind of remember a time when you were doing something that you love doing, cooking or whatever, that is when we really are truly ourselves, when we really feel truly ourselves, grounded, centered. This is the real me. So we all have a place and a way of kind of getting there. But more often than not these days, and life in general can so easily pop us out of that, into stress, into anxiety, into depression. So yoga is about bringing us back to that place all of the time, eventually, more of the time, bringing us back to being who we truly are, reconnecting ourselves, healing the symptoms that we might temporarily have, and then ultimately, once we've got past that, making us even more of who we could be. So it's important to see this as a journey, not just even as this journey of this course, and this course is a journey, but as a life journey. So I have a poem here, which I think I'll read when we're lying down, actually, which is about the journey. So we're reconnecting at one level the two minds, this cognitive mind and also the body mind. Has anybody ever heard of the concept of I have a gut feeling about this? Or, there's something's warmed my heart. And we have feelings here, don't we? Or quite often I have people coming to me with, say, symptoms of anxiety, and they have a real heavy feeling in their chest, in their heart, a real, like there's a weight there all the time. So the body has an intelligence. We run the shop with this, with the brain, the cognitive mind, IQ. This is probably a fifth, 5 to 10% of our total intelligence. We have a body-mind intelligence too. And we do have two centres, two brains in our body. The gut, the enteric nervous system, the ENS, has 100,000 neurons. The gut has a brain, if you like a brain, because the neurons are the same as in our brain, in our gut, that's the size of a cat's brain in terms of the number of neurons. The heart is even bigger. The heart is a massively powerful energy generator. It's the energy that the heart generates can be measured the distance of 10 to 15 feet away from the body. So how we often say, that person gives me good energy, or I get good vibes from that person. Or sometimes somebody kind of sucks the life out of you a little bit. You sometimes get that. It is because we give off an energy that extends way beyond our physical skin and the boundary of our body. And the heart is an even more powerful brain. It has cells that are the same as the brain cells, which is why people who have heart transplants, quite often, they start to take on memories or likes or dislikes of the person whose heart they've had transplanted, because the heart has a brain, so does the gut. And all we use is this, and we get stuck here in this. So yoga is about reconnecting this with this, to make us even more powerfully who we could be, and to kind of heal the symptoms and resolve some of this stuckness. The biggest thing that pops us out of being connected, aligned, centered, grounded, fully ourselves is tension. Physical tension, we tense up, we tighten up, we've got stiff shoulders, we tense up in our neck, we grit our jaw and our teeth. But mental tension is the root of all tension anyway. So emotional mental tension is what pops us out of being who we could be. So yoga is about clearing that up and learning ways to kind of reconnect and reground ourselves. And we learnt about the symptoms of anxiety and depression last week, didn't we? And we looked at the body map a little bit, and you had that handout about where we feel it in our bodies and where we notice the symptoms. And there are three components of this, three components of existence, if you like. And the acronym for it is T, T-E-A-T. So we have the symptoms in the way we think, thoughts and thinking, which includes beliefs. We have the symptoms in the way it affects our emotions and our emotional state, the E of T. I normally have a chart, I forgot to bring it. And then we have the final aspect, which is our actions in the world, our behaviours. So we have three areas where the symptoms that we're dealing with in this course, anxiety, depression, stress, present themselves. Three areas, three components of our existence. Thinking and thoughts and beliefs, emotional state and emotions, and actions and behaviours, consequences in the world, if you like. And that's good news, because in this course, and in yoga in general, and in psychotherapy, we can affect change at each one of those three areas. So we can affect change at behavioural level. We can change the way we breathe, which I'm hoping that most of you are noticing that it has a calming effect on this. And it has massive effects physiologically if we're breathing properly. We can change our emotional state by doing certain postures, by learning techniques from psychotherapy, from NLP. We can have quite massive shifts in emotional state when we want to. We can regain control of that. And we can change the way we think, and we can change those limiting beliefs that keep us trapped in this limited way of being ourselves. So it's great because we have 3 interventions. So over this course you will learn techniques across all 3, but the key thing to remember is that tension is the enemy. Tension is the big enemy, physical tension and mental emotional tension. And that's what yoga works on its deepest level, the biggest thing yoga works on. So one of the aspects for you to do in your homework today is, as we go through this practice today, and we're going to be focused on centering, on feeling centered, on feeling more balanced and grounded. So we're going to have an exercise at the end where we just kind of write down what that means to us, where we feel it in our bodies, what it means to us in terms of the way we think, the way our emotional state is, and our behaviours, when we're feeling more connected, more centred with ourselves. So that just like the symptoms of anxiety and depression, we can begin to learn what it's like to be centred and what it's like for us, so that we can get more of it. And one of your homeworks is to actually make a list of the 6 things or more, but minimum of 6 if you can, or more, that you are passionate about, that you really enjoy doing, that bring you back to being you again, even if it's only in a small way. So to write them down and make a list of them to kind of bring them into conscious awareness. So that's in your homework anyway. So we're going to begin the practice of centering, of grounding, of continuing this journey of what yoga does to us and for us. So if you can just remove your blocks and just bending your knees, I just want you to lay down on your backs, on your mats, with the knees bent, just to ease the body right down onto the mat. And lay down on the mat. Just beginning this process of settling, of reconnecting, allowing yourself the permission to just let go of everything else other than being here now. Giving yourself permission to put aside any concerns about getting here, anything that might have gone on before this class, anything you've got to do or worry about after this class. Just give yourself permission to let go of that temporarily and just be here now. Feeling your body settling into the floor. Feeling the soles of the feet, the back of the hips, the shoulders, the back of the head. Your body in contact with the floor. And becoming aware of the weight of the body on the floor. And in any of the lying practices, it's important that we feel our body in a straight line from the top of the head to the space between the feet, and a sense of equal balance left and right. And the spine is in a straight line. And often the thing we have to remind ourselves is just to have the back of the neck long. So just incline your chin down towards your chest just a little so that you can feel the back of the neck lengthening. And I just want to read this reading to you, bearing in mind that this is the beginning of your journey. This is the journey by Mary Oliver. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles, "Mend my life," each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew you had to do. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. So at certain times of our life, we all have a calling to begin this journey for ourselves. We are all uniquely imperfect, uniquely different. We are all uniquely us. And it's a journey of acceptance, a journey of listening to the symptoms that are now calling you to be and do something differently in the world, in your life, a calling for change. So, again, beginning the practice, if you can just gently straighten out one leg and then the other. And straighten the body out along the floor. And we'll just begin with a couple of stretches. So have your arms resting by the sides of your body, arms long, hands resting by the hips. Breathe in a long, slow in-breath and lift your arms up right to the top and lay them on the floor behind you. So lift your arms up above you. On one in-breath, laying them on the floor behind you. And as you breathe out, lower the arms back down, just working with your breath. So breathing in to lift them. At the top of the breath, the hands touch the floor, your breath. Breathing out to lower them back down. And do that 3 more times. Just see if that lady's in. And when you've finished your 5, just leave the arms back down by the sides of the body.